So picking up from where we were last time, we talked about this book, the Bhagavad Gita, which takes place. It is one of the books that is in the middle of a giant epic called the Mahabharata. And it occurs at this moment where Arjuna, the warrior, is in quite this dilemma. There's a great battle about to take place, and he is in between, do I let evil stay in power, or do I go kill my friends and teachers on the other side? He is despondent. He is torn. And this despondency activates a conversation that unfolds between Krishna and Arjuna. And that's what Bhagavad Gita means, which is it's not God's conversation, but it's God's song, is what Bhagavad Gita translates to. Because, of course, if you're going to be God and incarnate, that's who Krishna is. I mean, you might as well do poetry, right? So why not? Now, this is how Hinduism and the Vedic traditions, they sneaked these practices of yoga and practices of Dharma into their common cultural stories. Krishna instructs Arjuna for 221 pages in this case, all about how one lives life in accordance with one's unique existence. And many have looked to passages in the Bhagavad Gita for this. Mahatma Gandhi is famous for the Bhagavad Gita being his primary source of inspiration, as well as the scientist Robert Oppenheimer. And, it's 221 pages, so we're not going to get to all of this today. But this is one thing is it makes this a little different is this is not a one size fits all, like believe these things and you're good to go. So the way we might think of sort of like holy books, so to speak, this is not really what the Bhagavad Gita is about. It is rather some invitations of how to attune our awareness and how to attune our state of mind so that we're more likely to pick up the scent of our Dharma, to pick up those little threads of our Dharma. And I'm going to read a little section here today. This is 3.16 through 3.22 if you're following along at home. And so we start out here. This is part of their conversation. And Krishna is instructing to Arjuna a little bit about like, how do you feel your way out of this dilemma that you're in? So he says, one who fails to keep turning the wheel thus set in motion has damaged the working of the world and wasted his life, Arjuna. But the one who delights in the self, who feels pure contentment and finds perfect peace in the self, for them, there is no need to act. He has nothing to achieve by action, nothing to gain by inaction, nor does one depend on any person outside themselves. Without concern for results, perform the necessary action, surrendering all attachments, accomplish life's highest good. Only by selfless action did Yanaka and other wise kings govern, and thus assure the well-being of the whole world. Whatever a great man does, ordinary people will do. Whatever standard he sets, everyone else will follow. In all three worlds, there is nothing I need do, nothing I must attain, and yet I engage in action. That is Krishna instructing Arjuna in the ways of yoga and the ways of Dharma. And one way to attune to a life lived well in accordance with your unique existence is to notice the way that all of us often judge the worth of our actions in terms of success or failure. And so, again, the one who fails to keep turning the wheel thus set in motion has damaged the working of the world and thus wasted their life. And, Krishna is reminding Arjuna about being attached to outcome, about having too much worth and too much attached to outcome. He's talking about how intention is the only thing we can really give. Once it's outside of us, it's kind of, we don't own it anymore. And so if we are overly attached to outcome, it's like being spun around on this wheel, getting dizzy, throwing up because of just being thrown around so much, like being a ball in a pinball machine. Again, he goes on, but the one who delights in the self, the one who feels pure contentment and finds perfect peace in the self, for them there is no need to act. They have nothing to achieve by action, nothing to gain by inaction, nor do they depend on any person outside themselves. Without concern for results, perform the necessary action, surrender all attachments, accomplish life's highest good. From a dharmic perspective, what matters most is not the results of our actions, but the quality of our engagement. It is the quality of our engagement with what we're doing in any given moment, that we bring high quality engagement to what we're doing, that matters dharmically, that matters in terms of bringing that sense of living in accordance with our unique existence. Only by selfless action did Yanaka and other wise kings govern, and thus assure the well-being of the whole world. Whatever a great man does, ordinary people will do. Whatever standard he sets, everyone will follow. In all three worlds, there is nothing I need do, nothing I must attain, and yet I engage in action. This is an invitation to a quality of engagement, to invest in intention. And he talks about unattachment, or what we might call invest in intention, but divest from the fruits of that intention. We want to be interested in the result, because the result is how we learn. It's how we tweak our intention to and refine it. But to be invested in intention, because that's really all that we have internally. Again, Krishna is like the stand-in for the transcendent principle, is the stand-in for where we might get in our inner process, right? That's what it means when Krishna is God incarnate. And he finishes this part with saying, in all three worlds, there is nothing I need do. In other words, there's no result. There's just the intention in the moment. Nothing I must attain, and yet I engage in action. So what Krishna is telling Arjuna is to engage each moment this way, to engage each moment with a quality of engagement. And if we can do that, to the degree that we can do that, intuition can follow, that Dharma can become more clear. Arjuna is in this dilemma that's really complicated. And the invitation here is that the quality of our engagement, if we engage with quality, things can suddenly become more intuitive and more simple. And this is a quality of one-pointed focus. It's called dhyana, D-H-Y-A-N-A, this is the central thrust of the sage Patanjali's classical yoga. It's what a lot of that yoga is built around. And it's through this type of focus that Dharma can become clearer. Dhyana is considered to be the doorway through which deeper discoveries within ourselves can be unveiled. Zen, for the same reason, holds a high value on quality of engagement and one-pointed focus, which is to say, I've been to these long Zen retreats, and like you'll work in the kitchen, and it's like they will critique the way you cut a potato, because like the thing is, when you cut the potato, it is to an exercise of when you cut the potato, just cut the potato. Like you're not doing a bunch of other things. You're not in your head thinking about things, but you bring all of your quality of engagement through every slice of the potato. And there is something to be discovered in going about our actions of the day in this way. In Zen, they say, walk, don't wobble, which is to say, when we walk, walk. And so we might translate that in our yoga practice to when we lie down, we lie down. So we'll start in everyone's favorite foundational position and begin today just lying down. And just lying down with singular intention. Nothing to do. Nothing to attain. Just lie. You may notice things come into awareness other than lying down. That's okay. There's nothing here to do, including there's no need to stop your thoughts. There's nothing to attain. Not even a silent mind. Simply lie. You may feel these moments of like, wow, how often do I get the chance to just simply lie down? There's always the chance that we slide into a quality of engagement, a quality of disengagement. So just feeling your breath move in, move out, rise and fall. Feeling your breath rise and fall. Feel your body in space on your mat. Without being jarring, taking your time, even if it takes a few more breaths. Find your strap. And bring your strap to the ball of your right foot. Starting to ever so gently at first to wake up the tissue in the back of your leg. Starting to unwind tensions. So you're bringing intention to the stretch, but also not trying to push or bully the muscle into doing something. Take another breath. And then switch the grab that you have on the strap, or you might even be holding your foot here, to holding both wings of the strap with your left hand, and then bring your foot over to the left side of your body, crossing up a bit of a hip opener as you keep giving your foot a little pull. Bit of a twist. But like many things that are trying to be two things at once, they're usually not as deep as any one thing. And so right here, we're going to let go of the strap. Go ahead and bend your right knee to 90 degrees and make your way into more of a classic twist. And feel welcome to support with props, if that lets you rest into it a little bit more. You can always come back to the foundational sense of this is to lie on the earth. What helps me do that? That's really what the props are about. It's what your positioning is about. Take another breath here in the twist. And then begin to gently make your way back to center and take a moment of pause in Shavasana. Feel your body on the ground, inhabit your ground. You may notice different parts of your body inhabit your ground differently, your right side and left side. On your next breath, switch sides. Bring your strap to your left foot into a stretch. Come back to that sense of lying out in the ocean with your breath like those waves up and down. Your breath having a power like the wave. Not because it's forced, but it's like the whole ocean is just pulsing. And as you open up your leg, whether it's with starting to adjust with a little stronger pull, or at times backing off a little bit to where your muscle can more fully let go. Switch the grab of your strap so that you are holding with your right hand and lower your foot over to your right, coming into a twist. You can play with it here as your left leg is a little bit like a seesaw. Where you have a little pull of your foot in one direction and then encourage your outer left hip and pelvis toward the bottom of your mat. It's like a little seesaw. Starts to work into some of those hip muscles. Taking one more breath. Release your strap and then bend into your left knee to come into more of a classic twist. Props, no props. Whatever helps you rest and settle in. So you can soften more fully. Inhabit this ground all the way down below the surface of the floor. Four breaths. Now with your next inhale, gently make your way out of the twist. Come back to neutral, resting, lying down. As your inner Krishna would say, as if nothing to do, nothing to attain. Just rest into this pulsing earth. feeling the ground. Take your time over the next 5 to 8 breaths to make your way up to a comfortable seat. Your heart beats, your breath beats, your body beats like a whole symphony, a whole inner music that is happening. The invitation of Krishna is to participate in this symphony. So as you feel your heartbeat, feel your breath as rhythm, as pulsations of life flowing through. Begin to participate, not by beginning to rigidly change your breath and disrupt the symphony, but by beginning to gently increase each breath with a weight behind it, a sense of a full ocean behind it. And as these ocean waves of breath begin to increase and increase slowly over each pulse, with your next inhale, float both of your arms up overhead. And on your exhale, begin to lean over to your left as you take your left hand down to the floor or to a block, coming into a side bend. Starting to open up long through your right side body. Begin to continue the momentum of participating in your breath, increasing each breath. Eventually you'll run out of room, but you're not forcing it to do more than it can do, but simply bringing it like these waves that crash up on the shore, these waves that flow into your right side body, into the very muscles and ribs in your side. Taking one more inhale, as you may even feel that inhale right into your right side body. On your exhale, bring yourself back to center, and then on your next inhale, bring your left arm up in the air and begin to move over to the other side. Now, again, if your breath rhythm is a little different than my cueing, that's okay. Right? The most important thing about breath is that your breath is not adding any stress. Let your breath continue like the density of ocean, wave after wave, to flow into your left side body. You may even, for these last 2 breaths, begin to reach your breath into the spaces in between your ribs. Just as an intention. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The body does what the body does. On your exhale, come on back to center. And then begin to walk your hands behind you. You may set up blocks here if you choose, or come to fingertips. But hands coming behind you to come into more of a back bend. And so you roll back your shoulders, lift up your sternum bone, begin to let your breath build. Right? A wave doesn't suddenly go from being this gentle wave to being a huge wave, right? It's a slow build because the ocean stays with itself. And so you too, stay with yourself as you take these next 3 breaths into the open space in between your front ribs. Taking one more inhale. On your exhale, begin to walk your hands forward, coming forward, but more focused on the rounding of your back, like a cat pose, than how far forward you may go. The waves of your breath may get a little more quiet here. I'm just feeling those waves as you take 3 more breaths. And then begin to stack up vertebra at a time, coming to your tall midline, spacious and relaxed rest of your body kind of seat. Attuned to the pulses, the rhythms, including your breath. With your next inhale, begin to gently float your arms up overhead. And on your exhale, begin to turn to your left, coming into a twist. Nina, feel welcome to take a side bend on this one because you did the twist earlier. So if you like, you can take a side bend. Notice the spot in your spine that's not turning. One more breath. And with your next inhale, unwind the twist, using your exhale to turn to your right, come into a twist to the other side. As you play with inhabiting your seat, as you bring this spiral staircase turn up through all the vertebrae of your spine. Take 2 more breaths. And with your next inhale, unwind the twist. You can reach both arms up and return them back down as you come to your seat. With tall midline, relaxed rest of your body, as inner Krishna would say, as if nothing to do, as if nothing to attain. Just sit. There's a sect of Zen Buddhism where they have a meditation called Just Sit. It is considered one of the most advanced meditations because they do not confuse simplicity with being beginnerish. Taking another breath. We're going to come into bound angle and take 3 of those cow cats with energizing breaths. You may wish to, if you have kind of an intense time with the bound angle stretch, you may wish to place props at your outer legs in order to get some support. You may have no need for that. Knowing thy body. Begin with an inhale, bringing both of your arms back behind you and coming into a back bend. So you start with a full deep inhale into your chest and make it real strong. Keep inhaling. And then on your exhale, round forward like a cat. So it's a real strong breath, cow-cat motion. And as you squeeze in your belly to complete the cat, then come back to the cow, bring your arms back behind you. And keep inhaling with your back bend. Keep inhaling, keep inhaling, keep inhaling. And then from a strong action from your core, round exhale out, rolling all through the vertebra of your spine like a cat. And then one more time, one more of these breaths, starting to energize as you breathe in and keep inhaling, keep inhaling, keep inhaling. And now exhale, round it out, round it forward, just like the cat action. Empty your lungs by squeezing in your belly, and then begin to gently roll your way up vertebra at a time. For the sake of the muscles just stretching, use your hands against your outer legs to help bring your legs in together. If it is helpful, if you feel after a long hip opener like that, a bit of tension in your hips, feel welcome to windshield wiper your legs or shake them out. Again, as these practices get going, I will be doing less and less instructing as far as this kind of thing. And so be sure to take care of your body at any given moment. If it needs a pause, a stop, if it needs a little bit of time to kind of take some movement to release pent-up tension, please take that time. That is one of the most advanced practices that you can have. Take your time with this. If you want to take a little more time in your hips, go for that. We're going to make our way into downward facing dog somewhere in the next 5-6 breaths. Now, once you get there, you can play the downward dog as your body dictates. If you want to keep it a little more steady, a little more strong, right? Sometimes it's nice just to get that feeling of stillness and stability and strength. You can stay with this. Or sometimes it's nice, especially if you've been sitting all day, to get a little movement in, to start to roll your right heel down and then your left heel down and start to get some movement going on through your hips and some loosening going up through your hips. Decide based on your body, including if you have no idea what your body wants, right? We're all there at times. Try something and just feel out how your body seems to feel about it. And then from downward dog, use your next inhale to walk your hands back to your feet. Coming into our first standing forward bend. Or as I like to call it, sit bones to the sky pose. Take another breath here. And with your next inhale, use the big joints in your legs, your hips and your knees to use your inhale to float and rise up to standing. And come into samasthiti. Some people like to go hands to heart center. Some like to relax their arms at their side. However you like to stand here and come into this way of inhabiting two worlds. One is to be spacious. And so like you have a silk thread that goes from your tailbone through the top of your head. It goes right through the center of your spine. And this silk thread has length to it. And the second world being the rest of your body relaxes, relaxing your thigh muscles off the thigh bones and your glute muscles off the glute bones. And feeling your breath, feeling those pulsations of life again with very slow, like an ocean wave building, starting to slowly increase your quality of breath with the power of the ocean behind it. The next time that your lungs naturally empty, use your inhale to float your arms up overhead and your exhale to float your arms down. And then again, use your inhale to float your arms overhead. Now you can choose the path down. Models, I'd like you to go down through your midline, through heart center. Everyone else, you can choose if you want to inhale, arms up, and exhale, take them back down the same way. Or if you want to draw and trace a path down through your midline, down through heart center, you can go with that style. Take 4 more full breaths. With body and breath in motion. This is what unlocks the human element essence, the quality of your active breath. One more. And then allow your arms to relax at your side or in prayer position. Samasthiti. As you inhabit your stance, we'll begin with those walks that we did last time. And so beginning to walk forward on your mat in a way where you are maintaining balance in each moment of the walk. And you could even experiment with this and just freeze at any given moment, like right in the middle of one of the steps somewhere, and just see, are you actually, like, how balanced are you, right? You'll feel like a little wobbly for a moment. You get a sense of how balanced am I in this moment? Now, option 1, come into crescent lunge, right leg forward. Option 2, the next time that you're walking backwards and you plant your left foot back, you can play with taking a big step of your right foot forward into crescent lunge. However you want to play it. Crescent lunge. Breathe in, and on your exhale, bring both arms into cactus. the invitation to inhabit your stance. To bridge the two ends of the pose, the one that is, this is your stance on this earth. It's just a weird way to do it. It's kind of like sums up all of yoga. Take another inhale. And on your exhale, however you like to get there, make your way into Samasthiti. Come to your pause and stand. Tall spine, relaxing your thigh muscles off the thigh bones, glute muscles off the glute bones. The moment is play with what can you let go of? Can you let go of the previous moment's intention in 3 breaths? Whether you're at the front of your mat or the back of your mat, begin to come into your mat walks, the walk, don't wobble exercise, where you're slowing down your walk. Especially the backward walk can be a little weird at first. Right, so you might have to really feel like how are the bones of your foot landing? How are the joints stacking as you move, right? Getting a sense of how all of this together comes into a potential moment of balance each time you step. Fill up the moments in between your steps. Fill up those moments with your constant balance, your constant inhabiting your stance on this earth. And then make your way to the second side of crescent lunge, however you like. Left leg forward, right leg back. And arms into cactus. Notice that something interesting happens as you bridge the worlds between inhabiting your stance, getting very powerfully into your legs, connecting to the ground, right? The quality of your intention to the ground is your stance. As you also have this openness up top. It's like there's these 2 worlds and you're playing as the sadhaka, the yogi, inhabiting both. It's kind of a cool thing that happens when you inhabit both. Take another inhale. And on your exhale, make your way back into Samasthiti. Our bodies, our nervous systems, they tend to hang on to the previous moment's intention. That's why you check after being in your legs so powerfully. Right now, are your thigh muscles gripping on the thigh bones? Are your glute muscles gripping on the glute bones? As you relax these, you are actually letting go of the past. Feeling your breath with your right leg forward and your left leg back. Come into warrior 2. With your next inhale, bring both arms overhead. And exhale, bring both arms into cactus arms. Three breaths. From your next inhale, use your exhale to bring both hands down to the floor to the inside of your right foot. Walk both hands around, quarter of the way to your left, pointing all 10 toes toward the long edge of your mat as you come into a wide-legged forward bend. Many times the symbol of the yogi is the one who bridges the two worlds. So you have here the world of your stance, inhabiting your stance. This is a standing pose. Can you make this a powerful stance? As you also grow your sit bones toward the sky, open up the backs of your legs. Playing in both of these worlds. Take 2 more breaths. And with your next inhale, give a little lift to give yourself some space, and then walk around, continue to your left, point your left toes toward the short end of your mat. Bend into your left knee and rise up into warrior 2. This breathing and feeling the pulse of life first. Use your inhale to bring both arms up overhead. On your exhale, bring both arms into cactus. So your elbows will be level with your shoulders. You're making this right angle, set of right angles out of your arms. And even though there's all this stuff going on top, you could even say it's a little bit complicated as a warrior. The invitation from your inner Krishna is nothing to do, nothing to attain, just inhabit your stance. Take the necessary action as an investment in your quality of engagement. And the rest becomes simple. Take 1 more breath. And on your exhale, bring your left forearm to your left thigh. We're going to come into side angle prep here, where you have still warriorness in your legs. Inhabiting your stance like the warrior as you bring length to your spine and the lever of your left arm to help twist. Take 1 more inhale. And on your exhale, turn to the floor inside of your left foot. And then make the whole reverse walk with your hands back over to the right, back over to the other side. Reverse your feet so your left toes point straight forward, right toes toward the short end. Bend into your right knee, rise up to warrior 2. And on your exhale, bring your right forearm to your right thigh, coming into side angle prep. With warriorness in your lower body, still grow your spine, make space, and turn your heart to the sky in your upper body. The yogi is the one who inhabits the two worlds. Your lower body inhabiting your stance, your upper body turning brightly, heart to the sky. Take in another inhale. And on your exhale, rise up, step in, feet together, and come into Samasthiti. As you relax your thigh and glute muscles off the bone, you let go. You let go of those muscles still doing the standing. Now they get to let go. You will notice something as you inhabit your stance, which is every time we move, we have to kind of reset, reorient, re-inhabit. And so this is the case with the walks. And so we'll come back to the walks. You can go forward or back depending on where you're at on your mat. It is the practice of making it fluid through each moment, where even play, do some pauses, like try to trick yourself out. I know that's like impossible to do, but kind of like if you had somebody in the room who just randomly said freeze in any given moment, have an imaginary friend who's like, not yet, not yet, not yet, freeze, right? And then you're going to see, are you balanced in that moment? And to be balanced in those random moments, you must be balanced in every moment as an intention. It's like a little game. Now, the next time that you are stepping into your right leg, plant it, balance on it, and bring your left leg up, grabbing your foot from the outside foot behind you into quadricep hold balance. You're welcome to use a strap here. Actually makes the pose more challenging. It's kind of interesting to use the strap. So you can use the strap even if you can grab your foot if you want to play with that little extra. You will also notice to get a good quadricep stretch, it's helpful to engage your abdominals, right? Your lower abdominals in and up, tailbone goes down. And that even is a little bit more balance challenge, a little bit more challenge to inhabiting your stance through one leg. Now release your left leg down, come back to standing, and then come back to the mat walks, moving forward and back on your mat once again, a little slower than you might usually. So you're playing with making a fluid inhabiting your stance through the whole walk, which notice to do, you lose the sense of inhabiting your stance every time you move, right? So you got to re-inhabit, slow down so you can fill the gaps, re-inhabit into the gaps, put your intention into the gaps. And the next time that you plant through your left leg without rushing it, bring your right leg up into quadricep stretch balance. Or as I sometimes call it, gym class asana. Four more breaths. Balance is the ultimate. Can I bring quality of intention, invest in intention, interested in the results, but not attached? release to samastiti. Back to the walks, filling the gaps with your intention. Make every moment ripe with the fullness to bring a full quality of inhabiting your stance. As you next land with your right foot down, bring your left leg up, kickstand inner shin or inner thigh to tree pose. Three breaths. And then release, come right back to the walks, filling each gap with your intention. And the next time that you plant into your left, right leg into tree. Balance is the ultimate in practice. The body will do what the body does. The quality of your practice is not in the results, but the quality of your engagement, of your intention. On your next breath, release. If there's any kind of release of hip tension to do here, feel welcome to do so. Work it out. And in your next few breaths, begin to make your way down to a meditative seat. So you got props set up as if you were going to do a long meditation, but we're not going to do a long meditation. So that your legs can absorb your weight more than your low back. There are legit traditions where the meditation is just sit. For when we do, we find that which does not waver within us. I'm going to transition to Janusharasana shape in our legs. It's up to you if you want to come more to a flat seat here or if you want to stay up on your prop. Bring your right leg straight, left sole of your foot in on your inner right thigh. So you're making this L shape out of your legs. And then use your inhale to bring both arms up overhead. On your exhale, turn to your left. So we're going to come into a twist. Right hand can go to your left knee. If that's kind of takes you off a little bit, you can keep your hand more on your shin or a little bit closer to your midline. You're also welcome to put a prop block behind you to help the twist. Check where in your spine does not move in the twist. And moving from the music, the beat, the internal orchestra, your breath. Next time your lungs empty, use your inhale to unwind the twist, floating both arms up overhead. And then continue turning to your right, turning to face over toward your right toes as you extend over your right leg in a hamstring stretch. And continue to breathe. So that you're breathing down into the lowest parts of your lungs. Three more breaths. And on your next inhale, gently rise. Switching your legs. So your left leg goes out straight, left sole of your foot comes in. With your next inhale, float both arms up overhead. And on your exhale, turn to your right, coming into a twist. Check where in your spine is not twisting. And is the one who is in the two places that bridges the gaps. Inhabit your seat. As you make this spiral staircase through the turn of your spine. One more breath. And then with your next inhale, unwind by bringing both arms up overhead as you unwind the twist. And exhale, both arms back to center, and turn to your toes and extend over your other leg. All right, deep breaths down. This is why as a yoga teacher, you cultivate good students, because you can never screw up a class because they'll always know if you screwed it up. Five breaths. And use your breath to come back up out of the pose. To return to your seat. And to transition to the floor. We're going to get into constructive rest first, but I would like to go to Shavasana immediately after constructive rest. So if you have props that you would use for Shavasana, please get those ready. You can even, if you would usually put a blanket over yourself in Shavasana, you can even do that here in constructive rest. And you're going to come into a pose that's like you're prepping for bridge. So your knees come up with your feet in close to your hips. It helps the core relax, hence the name constructive rest. And you can let your knees lean into each other. Some people find that pretty relaxing. Others, I don't. So you might not either, but you can also just let your knees hover above your hips, whatever's comfortable. And take 5 breaths down, like you're filling your low lungs. Each breath a wave through your body. Like a wave through the ocean. If you'd like to take another 5-10 breaths here, feel welcome. When you're ready to transition, come into final Shavasana. You can begin to set up your props and make your way to your final rest. As your inner Krishna would say. As if nothing to do. Nothing to attain. Just lie, singular intention. Just inhabit the ground. As you rest into the ground, as if resting into a grand, deep ocean. The waves may be quite still. But the waves are there. With wave after wave and breath after breath, whether you begin with gentle increases of your breath or begin to wiggle fingers and toes, or just take a little more time to orient to transition. Take your time. As we transition to a closing seat, and once again, you are practicing on your own here, so if you prefer to stay in Shavasana, you're welcome to do that. And as we close in our closing seat today, invested in intention, with attentiveness to how we inhabit our seat. Fill the gaps with your intention. And you will witness the being within that does not waver. To that being within and all that we are, namaste.